Hi everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a brand new story to share with you. So let's begin. My name is Drew. And if there's one thing I've learned in life, it's this. The absence of intimacy in a romantic relationship is often the beginning of its end. See, when my woman began rejecting my touch, stopped leaning into my hugs, and her body stiffened at my kisses, I knew something had shifted. I tried to ignore it. But over time, I realized I was the only one trying. And when that effort was met with coldness, I made a choice. I removed my presence entirely. And that's when everything changed. She didn't take it lightly. But before we get to that part, I want to take you back. Back to where it all began. Because nothing starts at the end. So, here's how everything unfolded. I met Joanna during one of the lowest points in my life. I had just been fired from my job over a comment I made online. There was a post of a plus-sized woman talking about body positivity, and I left a reply telling her to go to the gym. Yeah, it was harsh, and it blew back on me hard. HR didn't want to deal with the heat, and just like that, I was out of a job. It felt like my life hit pause right there. Instead of jumping into the job hunt again, I figured maybe it was time to bet on myself. I had been tinkering with some ideas for an online business, and with nothing to lose, I went all in. Right in the middle of all that chaos, I met Joanna. I thought it was just going to be a fling. She seemed too good for anything long-term with a guy like me at the time. But she had this warmth about her. She was soft-spoken, affectionate, and present. One meetup turned into another. Then another. I didn't even realize how often we were seeing each other until my week fell off if I didn't hear from her. Before long, we were stuck together like glue. What started out as a "let's see where this goes" turned into "I can't imagine going through this without her." And, at that time, I needed someone in my corner. I didn't have much to offer back then, but she made me feel like I didn't need all of that to be worth something. As the months passed, things actually started picking up for me. My online business got traction and money started flowing in. Slowly, at first, then steadily. I could finally take a deep breath. And with that new comfort came more time, more flexibility, and more ways to show her how much she meant to me. We started planning weekend getaways, small trips, just the two of us. I'd block out time even during hectic weeks just to be with her. There were nights when I was drained to my bones, but I'd still make the effort because she had been there when I had nothing. So I wanted to show her she came first, no matter what. I'd bring her breakfast in bed on random Sundays. I'd pick up her favorite snacks when I knew she had a stressful week. I let her in on my business wins, my failures, all of it. A couple of years into the relationship with Joanna, there was a shift. A subtle gap begins to grow. At first, I didn't want to admit anything was wrong. I chalked it up to temporary stress. But it didn't go away. Instead, it deepened. The more I tried to love her, the more she seemed to retreat. She stopped initiating anything, even the smallest things, like asking how my day went. The more affection I gave, the more she seemed to ration hers. And this shift wasn't happening in a vacuum. Around this time, we were talking more seriously about the future. I'd joke around with her, say things like, "I'm working hard to make sure there's a ring on that finger soon." She'd smile and even say things like, "It wouldn't be bad to have your babies one day." Those little moments made me feel like we were aligned, like we were moving in the same direction. But then I'd look at her behavior, and it didn't match her words. She'd say she wanted a future with me, but she started pulling away in the present. I couldn't understand it. It was like being in a relationship with someone whose body was present, but whose mind and heart were somewhere else. I tried not to let it shake me. My instinct was to give more. That's what you do when someone you care about is drifting, right? You pull them closer. You hold them tighter. You remind them of how much they matter. I thought maybe she was overwhelmed or going through something she didn't know how to talk about, so I tried to be her calm, her constant. But it only pushed her further. Even in the bedroom, the sex felt like a chore to her. She was there, but not really. She touched me, but not in the way she does when she craves me. Like she was doing it because she thought she had to, not because she wanted to connect or because she wanted me. That intimacy we used to share was gone, and the silence that replaced it was louder than any argument. At some point, I started realizing Joanna's phone had become her safe zone, her little escape from everything, including me. We could be sitting right next to each other on the couch, and I'd be talking about my day or something I saw online, and she'd be buried in that screen, scrolling. I'd get maybe a half nod or a distracted mum. And this went on for weeks. Every day, it felt like I was talking to a wall. And when that kind of thing happens over and over, it chips away at something. Eventually, I found myself second-guessing everything. I'd hesitate before reaching for her hand. I'd pause before leaning in to kiss her. And most nights, I didn't even try. I was afraid of getting shut down. The distance between us had grown so wide that even simple affection felt like walking on eggshells. One night, when the silence in the room was just too loud to ignore, I looked at her and asked gently, "Hey, are we okay?" She didn't even look up, just scoffed and said, "You're too sensitive. Not everything is about you." That stung. I'm not gonna lie. It cut deeper than I let her see, but I didn't want to make things worse, so I swallowed and just kept it inside. Still, I needed to make sense of it, so I reached out to a couple of our mutual female friends who knew us. I told them what was going on, and they were sympathetic. They told me not to give up. "Keep showing up," they said. "She'll come around. She probably doesn't even realize how good she's got it." So I listened. I tried. I started bringing her favorite coffee on random mornings, just to surprise her. I planned these little cozy nights in movies she liked, candles, the whole thing. I tried to talk about memories we'd shared, joked about old times, and tried to laugh with her again. But every time, she responded with the same cold indifference. Like none of it mattered. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. I just told her straight up, "Your behavior is gradually chipping off at me, and it kills my mood." She just blew up like she was waiting for me to say that. "What, are you accusing me of being a mood killer now?" It would have been easy to lash back, but I didn't. I saw that this road would lead to a fight that we might not recover from. So I took a breath, told her I was sorry if it came off harsh, and I reached out to hold her. But she pulled away, and at that moment, something in me shut down. I didn't argue or try to explain myself further. I stayed that way. Over the next few days, I stopped trying or initiating conversations. I stopped trying to cheer her up or make her laugh. I became exactly what she'd been for weeks. I was more like a roommate than a partner. I started coming home later, staying out longer. Some nights, I'd just sit in the car and scroll for an hour instead of walking through that front door. And yes, she noticed. One night she asked me, "Why are you keeping late nights?" I didn't owe her a performance anymore, so I gave it to her plain. "I'm good." She didn't follow up, and I didn't volunteer anything. For the next few weeks, we lived under the same roof like two strangers who just happened to share a lease. There's a point a man gets to when silence feels safer than speaking, when presence feels more exhausting than absence. That's where I was. One morning, I woke up before the sun did. I looked around the apartment. I looked at her sleeping peacefully, and for a second, I waited to feel something. But there was nothing. I knew it was time. The rent and bills were due in a week, and I didn't want to give anything else. So, I packed a small bag, quietly took my essentials, and walked out. No goodbye or note. That same morning, around midday, she sent a text. "Where did you go last night?" I saw it. I didn't reply. She waited a full day, and then called. I let the phone ring out. Later that night, she sent another message. "Can we talk?" I read it. Still said nothing. Then came another message, this time with a completely different tone. "Why are you acting like a child? This is ridiculous." This just confirmed what I'd already figured out. She didn't want to understand. She just wanted control again. I wasn't surprised when she started reaching out to our mutual friends. I had already told some of them everything before I left. They knew how I had been treated. They told her plainly, "He's doing fine. It's best if you respect his decision." But that didn't sit well with her. Respect wasn't what she was after. She started getting desperate, asking around, trying to find out where I was staying. I had kept my location private for a reason. I didn't want her dragging more confusion into my space. Then one night, my phone buzzed with a voice note. I hesitated before pressing play, but curiosity won. She was crying. You just left? After everything. I sat there listening, but I couldn't figure out if she was crying because she missed me or if she just missed the comfort, the routine, the bills being paid without her lifting a finger. Maybe both. But it didn't matter. Because I knew that even if there was emotion in her voice, it came far too late. 2 whole months had gone by. I had begun eating properly again, working out, and focusing on my business. And just when I thought the chapter had closed for good, Joanna found me. I don't know how she managed to track down my apartment, but one evening, she showed up. Her voice trembled when she asked me to please just listen. I didn't say anything. I stood there, arms folded, just watching her. She started talking. She said she had been confused, that my absence, my silence, made her realize what she truly needed. She said she missed me, missed us. But I stayed quiet. Then she told me something I hadn't known before. She said that when we met, she had just come out of a 3-year relationship. Her ex had left her for her best friend. She said it broke her, left her emotionally wrecked. I came into her life during a time when she wasn't fully healed. And just when she was beginning to settle into something solid with me, that same ex suddenly showed up again, asking her to marry him. According to her, his reappearance messed with her head. That's what caused the detachment I had been feeling. She claimed she wasn't trying to hurt me. She was just overwhelmed and confused. I listened. I gave her that. But when she was done, I told her exactly how I felt. I said, if the sudden reappearance of a man who abandoned you could make you forget the way I stood by you, supported you, loved you, then I have no interest in being part of your life anymore. She looked stunned, like she didn't expect me to actually walk away for real this time. She tried to tell me she had cut him off, that she wasn't in contact with him anymore. But honestly, at that point, it didn't matter. My trust was gone. So I told her I was done. Then I closed the door in her face. Even after I told her I was done, Joanna kept reaching out, but there was nothing left for us to talk about. Now that I've had time to sit with everything, I can say this with clarity. Walking away from Joanna was the best decision I could have made. Not because I stopped loving her, but because I realized she wasn't dependable. And when someone isn't emotionally dependable, nothing else matters. I can't build a life with someone who shuts down the moment things get uncomfortable. I can't love someone who only realizes what she had when I finally stopped giving. And maybe it's harsh, but here's what I've learned. And I'm saying this to anyone out there who's listening, especially the people who are bending over backwards trying to make something work that's already falling apart. 1. Don't ignore the moment your affection starts to feel like a burden to the person you're giving it to. When they treat your love like it's inconvenient or annoying, that's not love. That's slow emotional starvation. 2. Emotional intimacy? It's not a bonus, it's the baseline. Without it, you're just roommates playing pretend. And if you find yourself constantly trying to earn what should be freely given, you're not in a relationship, you're in a performance. And 3. Silence and distance say what begging never will. The more I pulled back, the louder her panic became. That told me everything. I didn't need to scream or explain. I just needed to leave. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think about the whole thing? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading them. And, as always, take care of your peace. Because once it's gone, there's not always someone left willing to bring it back.